Let's bring in our UFC expert, my guy, Animarak, star of the MMA Die Hard podcast, joining us right now, representing Phoenix, Arizona, by way of Minnesota. His Vikings in a big game this weekend against the Eagles. You think they're going to shit the bed, though, right?
I do. I think it'll be a great game with the Eagles coming out on top at plus 140. But let me congratulate your sport, Animarak, with Israel Adesanya taking it to new heights around the world. Dancing around like Prince Nassim Hamed back in the day, punching off the back foot, taking one on the chin, and then replying with two quick ones. Winning the middleweight championship of the world against a proper champion.
Thank you very much, Flash. Jimmy, what's going on? I appreciate the kind words there, and I am ready to go. I'm super happy about Izzy coming through. I got a little fancy last week on the prop bets and stuff like that, but you know what? We did cash that three-leg parlay for plus 444, so that always feels damn good.
Did you buy that hat with the money you made?
No, sir. I've had this hat for a long-ass time. I almost wore the jersey today, but with you guys coming at me about the Eagles there, I heard your pick, and I got to tell you, that's my two-banger best bet in the Pick 6 podcast.
Oh, we've got another one going
Vikes
head-to-head. We don't mind going head-to-head on picks rather than in the cage.
Love it.
Well, let's get right to it. We're gonna break down your plays, and then before your parlay, we're gonna pop up our Mr. Fat Fist video to see if you agree with his looks. Let's break out that first fight.
Let's start off with Andrew Yule versus Marlon Vera.
All right. I love this fight. Marlon Chito Vera is a fighter that I have been super high on. He's super young. He's got all the skills. He's constantly improving, and he's a finisher. I want to say he's got a 91% finish rate off the top of my head. Can't quite remember. But his opponent has a weakness to the ground game. He's long, he's tall, he boxes very, very well, but he gives up at least one takedown per fight. Marlon Vera knows his way around the ground. He's got most of his wins coming by submission. He's also got some serious heat behind those hands. So I expect them to mix it up in the first round. Vera probably decides he needs to take control in round 2. It hits the mat. He locks up a rear naked choke. I'm rolling with Vera inside the distance at plus 125 rather than laying all that wood.
Inside the distance for a big plus line from our guy, Animarak. Let's look up the next fight that we're going to break down here. He's got Vera inside the distance. I'm going to pull up the odds here on SBR Sportsbookreview.com, SBR odds page. Let's go to fighting. Let's go to UFC, and let's look at his next look on this card. It is the Morono fight. Alex Morono, Max Griffin. Morono opening up at plus 105, now plus 123, an 18-cent move towards Griffin. Do you agree with this market move? What's your play here?
I got in there a little bit early, Jimmy. I got Alex Morono at plus 131. And I like the dog here. Max Payne Griffin is a very, very talented striker. Dude's athletic and he's explosive. He's good. But he's only good for the first round. After about a round and a half, he fades, and he fades hard. Alex Morono keeps up a high pace for a full 3 rounds, and he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So Max Payne Griffin has been showing a bit more offensive wrestling lately. If this thing hits the mat, that's no problem. A stat that I want to point out here is that for the striking differential, Max Griffin outputs 4.08 significant strikes per minute. He absorbs 3.89. So he is outstriking his opponents, but only by a hair. Alex Morono outputs 4.26 significant strikes per minute, so he has a higher output rate in general, and he only absorbs 2.69 significant strikes per minute. He is vastly outstriking his opponents. When this thing is on the feet, I think Griffin's got an edge in power, but I expect Morono has the edge in volume and output. When it hits the mat, Max Payne can wrestle, but he is not on the level of Morono on the mat. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I like the dog here, Jimmy.
Okay, let's move on. Devin Clark, Ryan Spann goes all the way. What are the judges going to go with?
I do think it goes all the way in this one, and if it's going to go all the way, I like the dog again. I've been on record not being too high on Devin Clark, but in this particular spot, he's got exactly the skill set that we're looking for. So Ryan Superman Spann, he's got some serious heavy hands, and after his last fight, we know he can knock out senior citizens, but he hasn't been tested against a real current generation caliber UFC fighter. Devin Clark has been training with John Jones over at Jackson Wink MMA. You could not ask for a better stand-in for the kind of fight that he's going to have. Nobody at 205 is taller, longer, or stronger than John's Bones Jones, and he's going to be training with him this entire time, getting ready for his fight with Ryan Spann. The other thing is Spann has a spotty gas tank. He also gasses out in round 2. He accepts grappling matches. He goes on. He dives on guillotines when his opponents jump in for takedowns. And if you do that against the brown bear, he's going to put you on his back. You're not going to get that choke, but you're going to end up on bottom. So I think Spann gasses out. I think Clark grinds on him. I don't see Clark finishing Spann in any way in this fight. I don't see how he gets it done. He's fast, he's explosive, but he doesn't have knockout power, and he's not that much of a submission threat. The only way I see him winning this thing is by decision, and if we play that prop of Devin Clark by decision, I got plus 220, so sprinkle a little extra juice on there for that dog line.
Getting greedy, isn't he?
I love his plus lines. He goes after big scores, man. I've
Like you with the NHL.
enormous respect for it. I love it.
I learned from the best. Watching Jimmy Cap hockey is how I got my start, baby.
It's great. You get like last year I hit 42% in NHL, and you have these huge plus units, and Animarak does the
Let's hope
same
you do it
thing.
again this year.
Oh, well, I will.
Well, that's great.
I will.
I'll do it NFL. You do NHL, and leave the guru over there to mess about with MMA.
Well, we do, and he crushes it. Okay, let's keep rolling along. We have another big fight. Gerald Meerschaert up against Eryk Anders. Eryk Anders opening up at minus 195, a 35-cent move towards Meerschaert. Who do you like here?
So this is one, Jimmy, that I jumped on as soon as it dipped low enough for me. I like Eryk Anders. I got him at minus 150. There's been a landslide of money on GM3 because he looked, I was going to say he looked good in his last fight, but his opponent made some seriously bad choices and engaged in his fight rather than forcing him to fight out of his comfort zone. Eryk Anders isn't going to do that. This dude's a college football standout. He comes from Bama, Roll Tide. And he is an athletic specimen. He's kind of a bully. Not in his personality-wise, he's a very nice guy. But when it comes to the way he fights, he imposes his athleticism on his opponents. If he can't do that, then he'll lose. But this is a spot where if Gerald Meerschaert can't get it to the mat, Eryk Anders is going to have a heyday. He'll pick him apart on the feet, might even knock him out. So I love playing it straight because he could win this thing inside the distance or by decision. And if you can get minus 150, minus 160, I think that's appropriate. I don't think Gerald Meerschaert can take this guy down because he's too damn thick. He's got too strong of hips. He's too explosive. And if Gerald Meerschaert can't get it to the mat, he doesn't win this fight.
Let's go main event, Animarak. Michelle Waterson, Joanna Jedrzejczyk. We've got one here that's on the up. We've got a black belt karate, and yet the favourite is Joanna at 1.26.
It's simple that Joanna is the strongest and longest reigning champion that 115 has ever seen. 9 out of her 10 last fights have been 5-round championship title fights. So she has a wealth of experience, and she sets some serious numbers when it comes to output. She's a world champion level kickboxer that transitioned over to MMA, and she is huge for 155. That's the reason why she is such a big favorite. Her last fight, she went up to 125 and challenged Valentina Shevchenko for that belt, and she just couldn't get it done, so now she's coming back down to 115. So here's the thing. She's trying to relive the glory days. She wants to come back down to her home weight class, get a good win or two in, challenge for the belt, and then get that belt back. That's the plan. That doesn't really happen in MMA. She's past her prime. She lost her title. Now she's trying to hop around weight classes, trying to get it back. She got some breast implants. I'm not kidding. Check her Instagram. So she's looking good, doing a whole lot of modeling on the side. I don't think this girl's head's in it. I don't think she is 100% dedicated to fighting. Michelle Waterson on the other side of this is a long-term veteran of the sport who is gunning for that title shot. She's never gotten the title shot in her career, and she has a personal mission to prove that moms are the baddest women on the planet. She wants to be the first ever mom champion in the UFC. So she's never had that taste of glory. She's never gotten there. She's still hungry and gunning for it. I think it's dog or pass in this spot. If you got a prime Joanna versus a prime Michelle Waterson, Joanna takes it all day. But I think Joanna is starting to show cracks in the armor. On top of that, right before this fight, they tried to negotiate that they give a 120-pound catch weight rather than making her cut all the way down to 115 because she's having a hard time doing it. So if she's being forced to cut down to 115, I think that's going to suck it even further out of her. She might have a compromised performance. She might have a compromised gas tank. And you know Michelle Waterson's coming in hot. She might be able to squeak that win away, and I like it at plus 300.
Ooh, a big dog line. And if Waterson plays her cards right, in 50 years, she might be able to get down with our DJ Big Boss. Eh?
50?
Yeah, in
Big boss.
50 years.
Big boss by then. He'll be in his 60s by
We
then.
talk about hitting big lines. DJ does it in the bedroom.
He loves a big line.